Listen, I watched some of this yesterday, and I heard the boos and everything else, and I just have to say that it is so predictable that something like this is going to happen. And
To the Mets, you're saying?
Yeah, to the Mets.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happens. And I know that we've been around here for a long time, and we've watched and waited for guys to come out of their slumps, and eventually they do. I mean, Pete Alonso had a terrible year last year, but had a huge home run in the playoffs and then came back and get off to a great start this year. Francisco Lindor was terrible the first part of the season. You remember when Javi Baez got here and that whole mess and the anger that was and the vitriol that was thrown towards Lindor and Baez and everybody else. I mean, it was crazy. But, Juan Soto's going through it right now. And there's really nothing he can do other than become productive. There's nothing he can say. I'll tell you one thing he can do. The one thing that he can do is that when he is playing baseball, look like you care. Look like it means something to you.
Yeah.
And show, the hustle that is required to earn the fans' respect. Because fans know, baseball fans around here are great baseball fans. They know the sport. They know what they're watching. And they know that he's a great player that's going through it right now. But the only thing that he can do to make it worse is if he looks like he's playing lazy in the field or coming out of the dugout late or kind of meandering out of the batter's box after what he thinks is going to be a hit or a home run. Those are the things that just kind of exacerbate all the problems that he's probably dealing with right now. And we've been down this road with a ton of athletes in this town. We know what it's like, but I also know that he's just too good not to think that somewhere along the line he is going to just absolutely explode, and he'll probably end up carrying the team for a couple of weeks.
Well, I mean, he has to, and if he doesn't, and this is what he's done so far in April and May projects out to the end of the season, that is going to be really ugly. And you see some of the big Dominican stars coming out in his defense. We talked about Pedro Martinez last week, talking about how there's a human in there and how we need to think about that when Juan Soto was going through stuff. You had David Ortiz just yesterday come out and say that the expectations for Juan Soto are all out of whack, and he hit free agency. Well, but here I actually think he has a point, but it's something that you had said for a while leading up to it is you'd never pay him that money. He's not the best player in baseball. He's not a five-tool guy. And Ortiz is saying the same thing. It's that there's a lot of people that see that he's the highest-paid player in baseball and think that he's going to be Barry Bonds when Barry Bonds had a giant head and hit 73 home runs. And that's not who he is. So there is some of that going on, but he's still way below where he should be in certain offensive categories. And I don't know. I mean, there is something about I don't want to use the word laziness, but there's his flair is not there. That energy is not there that we came to be used to seeing last year when he was in Yankees uniform. And I don't know if there's something personal going on in his life. I'm not sure. There hasn't been any reporting on it. But that is one thing. Like, forget about the numbers and the WAR and the OPS and all of that. It's a demeanor thing that I think is the most frustrating to fans.
Yeah, but it's $750 million.
Exactly.
It's private jets for his family. It's a suite for his family.
It's the happiest he's ever been in his life.
I mean, at the end of the day, Steve Cohen bent over backwards and gave him and Scott Boras everything that he demanded and wanted, something that the Yankees were not going to do. And this performance thus far, under the guise of everything that has gone his way and where he ends up on the salary structure, is going to bring an enormous amount of pressure. He's got to know that, and he's a great player, and he's going to have to deal with it. I mean, there's no other way around it. I mean, everything that he has gotten from the Mets, it made the Mets look like they were completely and utterly like all in, and they had to have him. And that they were going to go to whatever degree it took to get him. And they did. And I mean, and all the little perks that he has gotten, I mean, they're out there now.
Big perks.
And I mean, like, it's not a joke, man. This is like, this guy is potentially $1 billion baseball player. And that's why, the people who spend the amount of money that they do on tickets don't want to see a guy that it doesn't seem like he's given 100% or the flair is gone. The flair should be there. 100% attitude should be there. And I totally understand why he is receiving the criticism he's getting. I totally get it. But I also know that he's a guy that in a moment's notice can go on a 2 to 3 week run and carry this baseball team and show how he can be one of the best hitters in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be an either-or thing, which is sort of what you're getting right now. You're getting the people that are saying, oh, he's a total bust, and you're getting the other side saying, he's going to break out of it. I mean, both things can exist at the same time. That at the end of the season, people can expect the numbers that he normally has, but right now he's just not good. You can't excuse any of this away at this point. It's 2 full months of the season, and enough with the excuses. And I know Carlos Mendoza can't come out and he did once criticize him and said, we got to talk about that when he didn't run out the ball that went off the green monster. He did say that, but like something like yesterday,
did you hear what Carlos Mendoza said after the
game? I'm about to read it right now.
Gosh.
So honestly, today, he's talking about Soto. Honestly, today was one of those days where he didn't hit the ball hard, but I thought his foundation, his lower half, was in a better position. And for me, that's a good sign. He's 0 for 4. He doesn't hit the ball hard, but his lower half's in a good position. So we're moving in the right direction here, right?
I
lower half.
I think Carlos Mendoza is running out of things to say and just saying things because he's being asked constantly about what's going on. And he's trying to protect his player, but he's also trying to manage the team.
Yeah, but this is a bridge too far. I'm sorry. He could say, yeah, didn't have a good day. That's what happened. Next question. I mean, we all saw it. It's not like he was privy to other information and we didn't. You can go deep into the mechanics if you want, but his lower half's in a better position? That's the most ridiculous excuse I've ever heard from a manager.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an excuse. I think he's looking for something that he can say positive about his player. There's not an excuse. Like the excuse would be like, he's got a bad wrist and he's not getting around.
All right.
This is more of a positive attribute of a player.
Grasping at straws spot.
Yes, 100%. When I heard that, and when you hear, and I'm sure Jerry will play it this morning, when you hear Carlos say that, you're like, well, come on, what are we doing?
I know.
Who are we talking to now?
Yeah.
Are we talking to his family? Are we talking to, because if you're talking to the fans, we're all just going to roll our eyes.
Yeah, I mean,
I think collectively that's probably what we all did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that a couple of minutes later, Mendoza was probably like, well, that was a silly thing to say. I mean, he knows it. He was around the Yankee fans. He's been around Mets fans. He definitely understands what the fans are thinking. So I don't know if he's trying to give extra pats on the back or extra encouragement to him. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you found out that there was something going on with him that was distracting him with a family situation or somebody sick or whatever it may be. Because I mean, that's like when you're around people and they're just different sometimes. I mean, that's what it feels. Now, I don't know him personally, but we watched him for a full year last year in a Yankee uniform go all the way to the World Series, and I haven't seen a shell of that guy yet.
Hell, I wanted him 4 years ago.
I know you did.
When Jerry was bopping around here.
He was.
But I wasn't planning on paying him, $750 million in private jets and suites and everything else. And who knows what else he's getting?
I'd start taking away stuff now. That's what I would start doing.
Well, they're not going to do that. But
that'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be like, listen, if you don't get this average above 280, that suite for your family, gone.
You know what? I was thinking about. So one of the players on the Yankees, who kind of gets a little bit criticized, but is also appreciated because, he's a homegrown guy, and he's
Anthony Volpe.
Yes.
Okay.
So Anthony Volpe is a great kid. It's the absolute type of guy you want on your team. He's not going to be, he may not be an all-star, but you know what? He's going to be solid. He's going to be out there, and he's maybe twice a week. He's going to give you a big hit somewhere along the line. He's going to hit a key home run. I think he's driven 5 of the last 9 runs in for the Yankees.
A little bit of an offensive streak for him, positive one.
But I mean, the criticism he's received, to me, is so ridiculous because he's not making nearly the amount of money that Jaun Soto is making. Jaun Soto was brought to the Mets and was brought to the Yankees as a mercenary. And he did his job for the Yankees, and now the Met fan is basically paying for everything he's already done. And now they want him to do it for them.
Yeah,
and that's why the criticism is so loud and so intense.
Yeah, and I also think the Volpe stuff, there is more context to that. So, we had heard about from Brian Cashman and the Yankees and the farm system, Volpe, for a very, very long time. So it was like they had passed up on shortstops in free agency because Volpe was coming. There was also other times where you could trade for this guy, but it's going to cost you Anthony Volpe. And then people are like, well, this Volpe better come up here and be Derek Jeter 2.0 because all we hear about is that he's an untouchable in the farm system. So I think there was a little bit of that going on with Volpe. But yes, the expectations from Juan Soto are the largest that a New York Met has ever had on him
I would
in the
say
history
any
of the
athlete.
Yeah.
Maybe with the exception of maybe Mark Messier. Well, Aaron Rodgers had huge expectations.
I mean, I think LeBron James when he got drafted by the Cavs.
No, I'm talking about here in New York.
Oh, here in New York?
Expectations for players that, were not homegrown players, but came here later on.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed a couple of them. I mean, and Brunson didn't have the expectations, and he's exceeded them. But, yeah, Messier and Rodgers for sure. Piazza.
Gary Carter.
Was a big one. Gary Carter.
I would say Verlander, Rodgers, Scherzer, all in that same group.
I know the great Jason Giambi you could throw in there if you wanted to. He had a ton of pressure coming over on him. I mean, there's been a bunch of Yankee free agents that have come through that had a lot of pressure on them. But for the Mets, they've had guys. Trust me, they've definitely had guys. And Piazza,
mercenary piece of craps.
mercenary piece of craps. But Soto by far the highest expectations of anyone.
Oh my God!
Because of his age. Because of what he's done in his career at that point. He's already won a World Series, and the fact that he's the salary obviously being the number one thing.
I mean, you basically paid him $750 million because of what he did for other teams.
Well, yeah.
And
what you're projecting he'll do in your uniform,
15 years of it?
Yeah, listen, we all know. We all agree that the contract is exorbitant, but that's what you had to do to get him, and that's what Steve Cohen was trying to do, and he's trying to build a consistent winner so he can build his Metropolitan Park, and he thought that this guy at 26 years old was the person to do it, and he didn't care about the finances, and he's here.
So here we are. So it's essentially 50 games into his Mets career. All right? I mean, is he in the Hall of Fame? How many All-Star berths will he get?
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, we're 50 games in.
I'm more a one at bat type of guy at a time, one game at a time type of guy. I just want to get him out there, string a couple good games together, and then we'll talk about all-star berths at that point. But I just want him to get on track for this season and then win this division and get back in first place over the Phillies. That's really what I'm looking for this year. I mean, the Phillies have come back and played amazingly well after scuffling early on. And that's frustrating. But the Mets are still where they are without really hitting a groove for a very long time. Early on in April, they had 2 6-game winning streaks, and now they've sort of been up and down, up and down, up and down.
It's been the very inconsistent May, and I go back to Brandon Tierney with all the different, all the different statistics he had at the beginning of May, and I was so hoping because at the beginning of May,
it did look like he was turning around.
He was going to turn it around.
Right, he absolutely did. And he said, the whiff rates and the K right rates and the barrel
92nd percentile average exit velo, 85% hard hit rate, 95% squared up rate, 92% chase rate, 95% walk rate, 84% K right rate.
Yeah, I mean, it was all there, right there on a platter.
Those ratings.
Yeah, and it started to come to fruition early on.
It did.
But then it started to tail off. So I would like an update on that from BT today, if he's got it. All of those things, the barrel up rate. And you know what we need to do, because he brought it up yesterday, Mendoza, do we have a lower half rate? Do we have lower half position rate? Because that is something that might be climbing that'll be an indicator of good things to come.